I have to admit, I'm a little jealous of some of you.
Illustrations by Pete.
My art doesn't mean anything. You look at it, you say, oh, that's nice, and you move on immediately. Go to the next one. It doesn't mean much, it's not changing the world, and I have to admit, that's kind of how I want it, because I don't want that pressure. There's something about having that pressure to have your art mean something. My art does not, so I don't have that pressure. It doesn't have to reflect anything. It's just me putting something on a page and you saying, okay, that's a little interesting, I want to look at it, and then I'm going to go to the next one. Don't get me wrong, I don't want a book. When I look at a piece of art, I don't need a 5-page explanation of what that is. I said explanation. That's not a word. I don't want a 5-page explanation of what that is and have to read through it and that little thing there, that meant this? That's what that meant? Oh, okay. Now your piece is worth $5 million. But little things, just a little, my art is about this, and then can you see that in my art? That's different. If you say, okay, my art is about this, here's my art, can you see it? And then you go through your art and you say, oh yeah, okay, I see it here, and I see it here, and I see it here. I understand what you could be trying to get across to me. So today, I'm going to go through some of my old art in 2 different books. I have 2 Stillman and Byrne books. I don't think I've shown them to you. Maybe a couple of drawings in them, but I haven't actually showed you a flip through of them. So I'm going to go through a flip through of these 2 books, and I'm going to give meaning to them, new life to them, and what would they have meant if I was painting them at that time, trying to get a message across to you. That's what we're going to do today. There's lighting today, is fun. I love having the natural light from the window mess up the entire video. That's fine. That's okay. And then stay tuned to the end, because a best-selling author has decided to join our community and send in some art. Just one piece. We're going to look at it and see if you can give meaning to that.
Here we have what appears to be a nice little cabin until you realize that it's leaning too much. It's about to fall down because it wasn't built right, just like our society. Here you have what you think is a galaxy, but is really just a melted ice pop on the ground, representing my hopes and dreams that I had when I was a child that are now just a puddle on the floor of my life. This represents me after I ponder all the problems of the world and then realize all I really want is a cookie. This represents the hopes and dreams you have for humanity when you're younger, bright and vibrant, but then as it sits in the sketchbook, it gets dull and pasty and looks ugly in the end. This bird represents something that doesn't exist. It's beautiful and brings joy and happiness, and like I said, that doesn't exist. This house looks like a wonderful suburban home, peaceful, nice, glorious, but what you didn't know is the atrocities that happened in the barn just out back. This is the barn that's out back. It was the first time I ever encountered a rake. I hate raking, to this day. Now I just mulch up all the little bits and leave them on the lawn, and laugh. This just goes to show that you're not the boss of me. Just because I started this painting, doesn't mean that I have to go back and actually paint it. Nah. This represents the path to the future. It's a doorway that you can walk through, but sometimes all the lines are so distracting, you wonder if you should. This timed 2-color sketch of a tree sitting on top of a rock on the outside of a lake reminds you that sometimes life can conquer life. This birch tree forest next to a path reminds us that sometimes you can get off the path, but it will definitely be harder to move forward. There's an old expression that you can't see the forest for the trees, but I think you can see the forest for the sunset. This one represents an old proverb that says if you build your house on the side of a hill, you'll end up with a muddy path. This represents a new proverb that says when life gets hard, just slam your face into a tree. The next time someone tells you that you eat like a bird, remind them that birds can be fat too. Elephants are wrinkly, and colors are pretty, but not all wrinkly colored elephants are pretty. Think about that. Some people lean right but look left. Some people lean left but look right. But either way, we're all just crapping on a stump. Zebras and ostriches both have a reputation for being mean at the drop of a hat. Don't be like them. Instead, be a lamb. This represents the idea that some birds that don't even exist can be pretty, But there are a lot of people that do exist, that are ugly. Sometimes in life there are predators that stare at you. But maybe you should just shut the hell up and sit on your flower. Sometimes humanity seems like such a cesspool, but then we put rocks around it and flowers around it and a little birdhouse on top. We think it looks pretty. It's still just a pile of crap. They say elephants never forget, but I did. I don't even remember doing this. Sometimes we get so caught up in beauty that we do stupid things, like build these wooden buildings on top of lakes and rivers, and then they fall down after a year. We're so distracted by natural beauty that we forget what's actually important. We come in all different shapes and sizes. Can we please stop crapping on each other's windshields? Some of us are ducks, and some of us are pears. Need I say more? The Great Wall wasn't built in a day, but this drawing was. Just think of that. Notice how none of the birds are looking at the horse. Sometimes when you have a free spirit, nobody pays any attention to you. Sometimes the most comfortable things in the world can be uncomfortable, just like this recliner that only has one arm. We all chase the dream of owning a home one day, until we realize all it is a giant stick shoved straight up our... This represents how I feel every time I use my Panasonic camera, and it goes out of focus as I just try and record a little 2-minute segment. Butterflies can be beautiful until you realize that they're just flying worms, which is kind of how I feel about a lot of people. Birds and people have a lot in common. Some birds look regal and majestic. This is me. Sometimes it is important to judge a book by its cover, like when it has crazy eyes, a straggly beard, and blood all over its shirt. They say every rose has its thorn, because sometimes even the most beautiful things in life can stab you. But have you heard that even the prettiest fish still have the ugliest faces? It's true. Look it up. Why is it whenever an animal looks like a person, they say that they're expressive, but whenever a person looks like an animal, they're just ugly? People are captivated by mushrooms because they're strange and weird. I'd have it made if I was a mushroom. This is what I imagine it would look like if vampire movies were made with birds instead of people. Sometimes you're not paying attention, walking through a colorful, misty forest, not realizing you're at the end of a cliff. Cheap hotels put pictures like this up on the wall to remind you that if you're staying there, your dreams have probably already been flushed down the river. Pictures of cold climates like this often look peaceful and serene. However, it's just a reminder that once the winter comes, you're just going to get stuck in your house and not be able to enjoy the world around you. So get out and enjoy your life before your winter comes. One light is lit in the window on the house on the hill. This symbolizes that you only need to see one thing at a time while you're focusing on it. And by focusing on it, you don't even realize you're wasting electricity because it's during the day, you moron. This symbolizes two things that are cute and cuddly that you want to keep and pay attention to, but you can only have one at any one time. Focus on one thing, and then move on to the next. If you try and focus on both, one will kill the other. This frog represents that something can be cute and ugly at the same time, so don't feel bad. This greenery outside of an energy company symbolizes the fact that sometimes companies believe that they can put things in places and signal that they are really for things, in hopes that we fall for it and support them, and we usually do. Meanwhile, they really don't care about anything. This ink wash symbolizes the fact that sometimes you can just sneeze on a page and call it art, and people will believe you. This troll represents anyone down in the comments who's trying to argue with anything that I'm saying because they think it's real. This symbol represents how I will feel if you go down below and buy anything through my affiliate links on Amazon. Thank you. This piece represents how I feel anytime I listen to any newscast, and they try and convince me that everything in the world is something that I should be afraid of, all the time, every time, all the time. This piece represents how I feel every time I go to a CVS, and I get a receipt that's longer than I am tall. Why? This drawing on the left represents my birthday, and this drawing on the right represents all of the masks that we have to wear in order to be a part of society. This piece represents what I imagine is at the center of our planet. It's scary down there. This piece represents what Hollywood is to me. Just a jacked up pile of crap. This drawing represents wisdom. Not my wisdom. Wisdom of people that are wiser than I'm wise. It's just... Listen, Rockface is one of my favorite drawings out of both of these books. I just want to look at it for a little while. Okay.
Okay, so that was just a little peek into what my art could mean. I hope that you go through and next time you see my art, you realize this guy's deeper than just lines on a page with a little bit of watercolor. Anyway, so this here is from Linda White. Now, she goes by Regina on the channel. If you look through comments, you'll see her listed as Regina. But her name is Linda, and she's a best-selling author. She writes romantic comedies with like a twist of mystery in them. Very interesting stuff. If you go onto her site, which is down below, the link is down there, and to support her, there's also another link down there. But if you go onto the site, she has a couple of free little short stories, and Worst Christmas was great. I love that story. That was a great story, Linda. And thank you so much for making that free for everyone to enjoy. So this piece she calls Fat Dragon. Now, I like the name. I love the name. And the art itself is very interesting to look at. There's a lot of little interesting things in there. She just got back into doing some visual art, and I think she's off to a great start. I hope to see more from her, and I want to see exactly what she can do as she moves forward, because this is a great start. It's very interesting. It's very intricate. There's a lot of little things in here that are nice to look at. And there's a couple of eyes in there that draw your focus, but then they're kind of twisted and turned, and then what look like teeth with mouths open, and then other things where they're closed. And it's a very interesting piece. I like it. Maybe a little city that's there. I think it's interesting. So I'll go ahead and post links down below to some of her written work, and I hope to see more drawings from her and see where she goes from here. I like this. Alright, well that's about it for me. Like this video if you're looking at art that you think means something and then you find out it means something completely different that makes you not like the art. That could have happened here. I don't really know what's happening right now. Alright, I'm going to go, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.